As you wish.
3 simple words that made Cary Elwes a legend. The dashing Wesley in The Princess Bride, the heroic Robin Hood, a doctor fighting for his life in a grimy bathroom in Saw. For nearly 2 decades, Cary Elwes was everywhere. The ultimate heartthrob, action star, and cult movie icon all rolled into one. And then he vanished. Not completely, but enough that an entire generation grew up not knowing who he was. So what happened? Where did one of Hollywood's most charming leading men go? And more importantly, why is he suddenly back in major productions like Rebel Moon and the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare? Stick around because the answer is way more interesting than you think. Before we dive into what happened, let's talk about where it all started. Cary Elwes wasn't just some random actor who got lucky. Born in London in 1962, he came from artistic royalty. His father was a portrait painter, his stepfather was a renowned documentary filmmaker, and he grew up surrounded by creativity and culture. Acting wasn't just a career choice, it was practically in his DNA. He studied at the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art and Sarah Lawrence College, honing his craft with serious dedication. But here's the thing, Elwes didn't want to be just another British theater actor. He wanted to be a movie star. His first real break came in 1984 with Another Country, where he starred alongside a young Rupert Everett. The film got attention, but it was his next role that would change everything. In 1986, he was cast as the stable boy turned hero Wesley in Rob Reiner's fairy tale adventure, The Princess Bride. The film had a modest budget, no major stars, and pretty low expectations, but something magical happened. Elwes brought charm, wit, and genuine heart to the role. His chemistry with Robin Wright was electric. His sword-fighting scenes were legendary. And that line, "as you wish," became one of the most romantic phrases in cinema history. The Princess Bride didn't explode at the box office right away. In fact, it was kind of a sleeper hit. But over the years, it became a cult classic, one of the most beloved movies of all time. And Cary Elwes, he became Wesley forever. After The Princess Bride, Hollywood took notice. Elwes was handsome, talented, could do comedy and drama, had that perfect British accent. He was the complete package. The late 80 seconds and 90 seconds became his golden era. In 1991, he starred in Hot Shots, a hilarious parody of Top Gun, showing he could handle comedy with impeccable timing. Then came Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise, where he played a rival race car driver. He was in Glory, Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula as the ill-fated Arthur Holmwood, and Twister, one of the biggest disaster movies of the 90 seconds. But the role that truly cemented his mainstream appeal? Robin Hood in Mel Brooks's Robin Hood Men in Tights. This wasn't your typical Robin Hood, this was comedy gold. Elwes played the legendary outlaw with perfect comic timing, poking fun at Kevin Costner's overly serious Prince of Thieves while still being genuinely heroic and charming. The movie was a hit, and suddenly Elwes was proving he could carry a comedy as a leading man. By the mid-90 seconds, Cary Elwes was at the peak of his powers. He was working with legendary directors, starring in big-budget films, and becoming a household name. So, what went wrong? Well, here's where the story gets complicated. The late 90 seconds and early 2000s were brutal for a lot of actors who'd made their names in the previous decade. Hollywood was changing. The teen heartthrobs of the 80 seconds were aging out. Action stars were getting replaced by younger faces. And rom-coms, they were being dominated by a new generation of actors. Elwes kept working, make no mistake about that, but the roles changed. He wasn't getting the leading man parts anymore. He was the supporting character, the villain, the comedic relief. In 1996, he had a bizarre and almost career-ending accident while filming a baseball scene for the movie The Pentagon Wars. He was sliding into home plate for a shot when his leg buckled, and he shattered his leg so badly that doctors weren't sure he'd walk properly again, let alone continue his action hero career. The injury required extensive surgery and rehabilitation. For an actor whose appeal was partly based on physicality and action sequences, this was devastating. When he finally recovered, the landscape had shifted even more. The rom-coms went to Hugh Grant and Matthew McConaughey. The action roles went to Matt Damon and Mark Wahlberg. Elwes found himself in that dangerous Hollywood limbo, too old for young leading man roles, too young for elder statesman parts. But then, in 2004, something unexpected happened. He got a call about a low-budget horror movie being shot in just 18 days. The script was dark, twisted, and unlike anything he'd done before. The character? A doctor who wakes up chained in a grimy bathroom with a saw and an impossible choice. That movie was Saw. Nobody expected Saw to become what it became. Made for barely over $1 million, this grimy, intense, psychological horror film became a massive cultural phenomenon. It launched a franchise that would span 9 films and counting, and completely redefined the torture porn horror genre. Elwes played Dr. Lawrence Gordon, a surgeon trapped in the Jigsaw Killer's deadly game. The role required him to go to dark, desperate places emotionally. This wasn't charming Wesley or funny Robin Hood. This was raw, visceral terror and survival, and he absolutely nailed it. The scene where Dr. Gordon makes his final horrifying choice remains one of the most shocking moments in horror cinema. Elwes brought genuine anguish and humanity to what could have been just another horror movie victim. Saw made over $100 million worldwide and became an instant cult classic. Suddenly, Cary Elwes was relevant. Again, but in a completely different way. He'd successfully reinvented himself for a new generation of moviegoers who'd never heard of The Princess Bride. But here's the interesting thing. Even with Saw's success, Elwes still didn't return to mainstream leading roles. Instead, he embraced something different entirely. For the next decade, Elwes did something that a lot of former leading men struggle with. He accepted where he was and found joy in it. He appeared in dozens of movies and TV shows, some great, some not so much. He did voice work, guest appearances, supporting roles in comedies and dramas. He showed up in Psych multiple times, playing a delightfully pompous character. He had a recurring role in The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. He did indie films, straight-to-streaming projects, whatever interested him. Critics might call these the wilderness years, but Elwes seemed genuinely happy. He wasn't chasing the spotlight anymore. He was working consistently, paying the bills, and staying in the game. He also did something smart. He fully embraced his Princess Bride legacy. Instead of running from it or feeling bitter about being known for one role, he celebrated it. He wrote a behind-the-scenes book about the making of the film. He did conventions. He engaged with fans who still loved Wesley after all these years. This humility and genuine appreciation for his fans kept him beloved even when he wasn't in major movies. He became the rare Hollywood figure who seemed like a genuinely nice person who happened to be famous. But the story doesn't end there. Something interesting started happening in the late 2010 seconds and early 2020 seconds. Streaming services needed content, lots of it. And suddenly, experienced actors with name recognition were valuable again. Cary Elwes started getting calls for significant projects. In 2019, he appeared in Stranger Things Season 3 as the shady Mayor Klein, bringing that classic charm mixed with sinister undertones. Role reintroduced him to millions of younger viewers who'd never seen his earlier work. Then came the big ones. In 2023, he appeared in Guy Ritchie's Operation Fortune Ruse de Guerre alongside Jason Statham and Aubrey Plaza. It wasn't a huge role, but working with Guy Ritchie in a major action comedy, that's a statement. Later that year, he joined the cast of Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon on Netflix, a massive space opera designed to be Snyder's answer to Star Wars. Again, not the lead, but a significant character in what was meant to be a major franchise. And then in 2024, he appeared in The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, another Guy Ritchie film, this time about a secret World War II mission. He was playing alongside Henry Cavill, Alan Ritchson, and a stacked cast. Elwes wasn't trying to be the young leading man anymore. He'd matured into the perfect character actor, reliable, charismatic, and able to elevate any scene he's in. So what happened to Cary Elwes? The truth is, nothing tragic. Nothing scandalous. He just lived through the natural cycle of Hollywood stardom. He had his moment in the sun as a romantic leading man. He dealt with injury and changing industry trends. He reinvented himself in horror. He worked steadily through the quiet years. And now, he's experiencing a renaissance as a respected character actor in major productions. Not every actor gets that arc. Many fade away completely or become bitter about their glory days. But Elwes, he stayed working, stayed humble, and stayed beloved by fans. From As You Wish to Game Over, Cary Elwes has proven that longevity in Hollywood isn't about staying on top forever. It's about adapting, embracing change, and never giving up on the craft you love. And honestly, that might be the most inspiring Hollywood story of all. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos about the careers of actors you forgot about but definitely shouldn't have. What do you think about Cary Elwes' comeback? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.